There are different tiers to modern Rolex Daytonas. At the very top, we've got the off-catalog unknown stuff, at least unknown to the most of us. At the very bottom, we've got the blinged out, drilled in, ruined Daytonas. In between, there are a couple of levels. The first one, the standard, the base level, is the steel Daytona, black, white. And then we've got precious metal Daytonas, rose gold, yellow gold, white gold Daytonas. And then we've got the platinum Daytonas. And then we've got the platinum with gemstones. And then we come back to the very top, which is the off-catalog stuff. Now, this watch, it's a Daytona. It's the most non-Rolex Rolex Daytona. And it sits somewhere in the upper levels. So alongside the platinum Daytonas. Or maybe even the platinum with the gemset stones. This watch, however, is something quite different. Something very bespoke, yet meticulously done to high standards. I would call it to be as rare as the off-catalog pieces, but in the price bracket of a platinum factory set gemstone Daytona. Yet this one is also the only skeletonized Daytona. Think Rolex case and bracelet, but an RM-inspired dial and movement. See, somebody woke up one day and decided that Rolex was good, but didn't serve those that wanted artistic expression to the very highest level. And that somebody was John Isaac, who founded Artisans de Genève in 2005. So who are Artisans de Genève? At the core of it, they're an atelier that provides watch customization services. You've got to be really clear about this, and I'll tell you why exactly towards the end of this video. But they're a watch customizer, and they're not a company that sells watches. So the idea is you get in touch with them, send in your watch, and then they customize it to your liking. However, some of their customizations have become exceptionally well known, like the watch we're looking at today. The watch we're looking at today, right here, is the Montoya. It essentially emerged as a commissioned watch by Juan Pablo Montoya, a former Formula One driver, who's not only got 7 Formula One wins between 2001 and 2006, but he's also got racing pedigree in IndyCar and NASCAR of over 20 years, multiple wins. He's also quite clearly the watch guy, and he picked the right watch, the Daytona. And his connection to the Rolex Daytona is one that most Daytona enthusiasts can only dream of. He's driven and won the 24 Hours of Daytona, which is sponsored by Rolex. So this watch clearly means a lot to him, and that also makes it kind of special to us. Now, the relevance of this model for Artisans de Genève is not just the connection with Formula One, the fact that it's a Daytona, but it's their first skeletonized watch. And they've done it so well. From what I've seen, it's their best looking watch. So let's talk about the process of getting a watch commissioned by Artisans de Genève, and then we'll get into the watch itself. The total process spans over 10 months and is broken down into 11 steps, and they are as follows. The first exchange begins with a mood board. I'm assuming all these exchanges are online because otherwise I don't see how anyone would have enough time to get a watch done. Perhaps if you live in Geneva, then you could do this in person. I don't really know. This is a tangent. Let's get back into it. You got to send in your watch, 2 to 4 weeks again. Designing the watch, they do it 4 weeks. I guess that takes time. Technical plans that they send to you, another 4 weeks. They disassemble your watch and begin the modification process, which is the bulk of it. And then component control, and they check all the components before they reassemble the watch, and then they have a final QC. I find it really cool that they send the watches to TimeLab because they're a really official third-party watch testing organization. They also provide the Geneva seal, for example, and a lot of watch brands use them to get certified. They can't do that with this watch because Artisans de Genève is not a watch manufacturer. They're just customization service, so nothing changes there. And then finally they receive the watch back and then send it out to you. Now the whole process seems kind of long, especially the fact that the disassembly of the watch takes 2 weeks, but then the reassembly takes 5 weeks. I've seen watchmakers disassemble and reassemble movements in an afternoon. I get it, they've got a lot of stuff they're working on, but yeah, I feel like this process seems a little more drawn out than it needs to be, just to make it feel like you're getting more for your money's worth. So speaking of money, yeah, how much does this cost? Well, you front the cost of the watch, and then you got to put in about 50 grand for the customization service. So all in, I'd say you're looking at a little north of 100 grand for a Daytona or something like that. But if you look at the gray market values, I haven't found this exact watch on the gray market, but there's the other version that seems to be listed on Chrono24 for 170 plus grand. It's probably going to sell at quite a bit less, but still quite high. Now let's go over some of the watch details and what they actually customize and how they do it. So the watch itself, it's a solid gold Daytona, reference 116505, well-known Daytona reference. I guess you could just send in any gold Daytona and they're going to change the dial anyway. So the bezel itself, that's an interesting fact. They remove the bezel, or they modify it into a forged carbon bezel. This is kind of a funny juxtaposition, gold and carbon fiber. But I get it, it's a racing inspired watch, so you want some racing inspired components, and that's carbon fiber. It has nothing to do with weight savings or practicality. Now the X factor is really the dial. It's a fully skeletonized dial. It's the original movement, but it's also been skeletonized, and that's no small feat to revamp and completely redecorate the movement so beautifully. It's got an anthracite finish. There's a hand beveled balance bridge, a 22 karat gold custom rotor as well. And this particular watch, the hands are the Colombian flag colors because Juan Pablo Montoya is Colombian. So that's a nice touch. What's beautiful is the fact that they don't touch the bracelet or the case. The Daytona is one of the most beautiful watches, beautiful feeling watches on the wrist, and that remains to be the case because of the case. Now, who's this watch for? This is a Marmite watch, certainly. I think this watch is for someone that's already had multiple Daytonas, already has multiple Daytonas, and so it makes sense to send it off for customization, to have something even more special. So this is never going to be a first Daytona. And if it is, maybe you're a person that doesn't like any of the Daytonas that Rolex has to offer. But still, I'd find that massively surprising. It's really about making things unique, and it's about those one-offs. So yeah, you gotta have a lot of money. But these things are so unique that I almost feel like it makes sense. Perhaps it's less with other watches, other models, simpler models, less skeletonization, then maybe it costs less. They also have some three-handers. I'm not talking about the Patek they've done, obviously, but I've seen some Submariner styled customizations. Now let's talk about why Artisans de Genève doesn't technically sell watches. They only customize them. Now all this information I have is from a Hodinkee article and then subsequent research. The question essentially popped into my mind when I went over to their website and noticed that they don't have anything for sale, but they have certain options that you can customize watches. So essentially this particular piece, if you can get this exact watch, if you can get a customization in this exact spec, why don't they just do that themselves? And from my understanding, they used to do that. You could buy off-the-shelf customized watches from Artisans de Genève, or you could have them procure the watch for you and then do this whole service, which makes a lot of sense. That would be the simplest way of running this business model. But then came the lawsuit from Rolex. Technically, under Swiss law and most international law, you can't advertise and sell somebody else's trademarked product as your own product. I don't know the exact intricacies of the law, but essentially after the lawsuit that prevented them from offering these models for sale, and they had to clearly and distinctly make it a customization service only, where they technically don't sell Rolex watches because Rolex's name is still on the dial. So that's the story behind the super cool, most non-Rolex Rolex Daytona. See you in the next vid. Cheers.